I can't wait to show you inside this custom built model home here in Nocatee and show you what the builder did on this one that you just don't see very often here. You know, we are currently in Nocatee, but we're actually in Nocatee's newest neighborhood, the Reflections, which is also their last neighborhood here in Nocatee. Now keep in mind, Nocatee is one of the most premier, if not the premier community here in Northeast Florida. Whether if you live here or if you're thinking about moving here, this is really the area people want to be in. So in just a couple of minutes, we are going to check out this beautiful model home and go over just what it means to live in Nocatee. All right, so we are going to begin this walkthrough of the Palos Verdes floor plan, which is a floor plan that is built here with ICI Homes. ICI is one of the many builders here in the Reflections. In ICI, they do a lot of things differently than most other builders. And so a couple of things I'll mention in this video, but a couple of things too, if you want to know more, always feel free to reach out to me as well to know more about what they do differently than others. But to begin with this Palos Verdes floor plan, they actually gave you a really nice big front pavered porch, which is nice because of the fact that here in Northeast Florida, you don't always get very usable front porches. You may have a front porch, maybe just a small landing area so you can get out of the rain, you know, take your shoes off, so to speak, before you walk in the house. But this is one where you can really have guests, you know, over to hang out up front, you know, especially on a nice day out, which we have a lot of those here in Northeast Florida and Nocatee. But also if you just want to come out, have a cup of coffee in the morning, you have plenty of room to do that out here without it feeling like you're claustrophobic. And that's something too that you'll notice with a lot of homes here in Nocatee is there's a huge push, not just from the builders themselves, but also from the developer to be more outside, to have more nature elements with it, just to be able to provide more of an active lifestyle that you don't always get. Then as we come into the house, we're gonna notice right away the exterior of the house is what they call hardy board siding. Hardy board siding is a cementous material that goes over wood frame homes here. And it's a material that's very durable, and every builder is currently really using it here because of just how durable it is. It doesn't really chip up too much. You know, it stays very nice looking with this. And ultimately, it's really kind of that exterior material of choice that we're seeing most builders using here in Nocatee. We also, as we come up to the front door, you'll notice we do have a nice 9-foot tall door. They did include some glass inserts to provide some natural light in. But what I like about this is you don't actually have the all glass door, which a lot of builders like to use here, a lot of people like to have here. So it still gives you some privacy, because that's one of the things that, even though it's a very active lifestyle here in Nocatee, it is nice to still have some of your own privacy, especially with your front door for your house. And then as we come into the house, as you'll notice, we're greeted with a very large open space with this foyer. This floor plan starts off with 10-foot tall ceilings. However, most people that buy this floor plan with ICI tend to actually up it to 12 feet, so they get additional natural light up top. And really those 12-foot ceilings, and more so with this foyer where we have 20+ foot high ceilings, it really just gives it a very grand entrance, makes it very open and inviting with a lot of these colors. And ultimately, I just love when I see this when I first come into these specific floor plans with ICI Homes. And one more thing I do want to point out is when we do come into the house, you will notice that we do have a lot of, you know, wood for the flooring. So this wood flooring, it's that lighter colored wood. It's one thing that for a house at this price point, because do keep in mind, this is going to be a $1 million+ price point. It's nice to see that wood flooring throughout because it gives you that high-end feel, high-end fit and finish that you would expect to get with a home at this price point. And one thing too that I also want to mention with it is we have seen that these lighter colored floors are really starting to become more popular again here in Nocatee. Whereas 3 to 4 years ago, it was all about the grays. We're just now getting back to having more of those lighter colored woods, which I personally love because it makes the space feel warm and inviting, whereas the gray sometimes can make it feel a little bit colder. All right, and then now we are gonna check out the dedicated office with this floor plan. So this is one of the things I love about the Palos Verdes, and it's something that you see a lot of times here with these homes in Nocatee is a lot of people who live in Nocatee, a lot of times they do work from home. And so to have that dedicated office to be able to work out of and have it downstairs so you're not having to go upstairs and deal with that, I think is a huge benefit when you can have that with a floor plan. Because again, this Palos Verdes, it starts off as a 4-bedroom, 3-bath floor plan with a 3-car garage. Now, it is a tandem garage, so you may have noticed it's only a 2-car garage from the front of the house, but it does have that 3rd car in the back because of how deep the garage is on one side. But with it being a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, this does not get included as one of those 4 bedrooms. So you do have 3 upstairs, the primary downstairs, but this is almost, you could make it a 5th bedroom if you wanted to, but it also makes a lot of sense to have it truly as an office. So ultimately, I do love how they laid out the space. It's very simplistic. You do have your AC closet right there, so obviously that's not something that we really need to go over too much. It is where you have one of your ACs, and because it's a model, they do have the surround sound speakers with it as well. And then from there, we do have a half bath downstairs. So even though it's a 4-3, I would highly suggest, if this is a house that you could see yourself living in and you reach out to me and learn more about it, I would highly suggest you do the half bath option with it, because you don't really want your guests to have to go upstairs to use the bathroom. And so ICI did a great job with this powder room here, just to be able to give you an additional space underneath the stairwell for your guests to be able to use, almost like that Harry Potter closet, so to speak, but very well appointed, just to be able to allow guests the ability to not have to go upstairs and allow your residents, your kids or family members that might have the rooms upstairs to have to share their bathroom with guests. And then from there, I do want to just point out this beautiful stairwell. One of the things I love about this specific model and this specific floor plan is the wraparound stairwell, which we'll show off right here. And this wraparound stairwell, it's just something that you don't get a ton with a lot of builders here in Nocatee, and really here in Northeast Florida in general. So to have that wraparound stairwell and to have it open like this, this is one of those things that most builders will put as an upgrade. But to have this open banister with the wrought iron and have the wood tread, it really just gives it that high-end feel, which again, something that you would expect to have at this price point, but ultimately really just highlights the space and makes it a space that when people come in, they know what they're seeing right away. They know what they're getting themselves into, and they understand just the fact that it's really been done very well with this. All right, and then now let's go and check out this beautiful living room. This living room, like I said, you have 12-foot high ceilings in here, so the space feels very large, very inviting. And because it's open to the kitchen as well as the dining room, everything feels just all one space, but also you still have separation with those spaces the way that it was designed. Because really, when you live in Nocatee and you're living that, Noc life as they call it, you're gonna want to entertain people, and this is a great house to be able to do that in, because ultimately, Nocatee is a very family-friendly community. It gets a lot of different names for it. People talk about how it's a golf cart community. They talk about how great the schools are, and we will dive into that in this video because the schools here are amazing. Other parts of Florida, people will sometimes talk about the schools, but more so from the standpoint of, should I send my kids to private school because the private schools there are amazing. Well, here, it's not like that. Here in St. Johns County, the public schools are, if not the best in the state of Florida, one of the best. So people, with that being said, people are always gonna have, kids are always gonna have their friends over. In a house like this, especially, they're gonna wanna have their friends over to be able to use the pool or to hang out with. So to have a space like this, it's a really great setup the way that it was designed. And it's right off of your primary bedroom as well. So all in all, it really does, it makes it very central to the house. So whether if you're coming from downstairs, coming from the office, coming from the primary, or coming from this amazing, well-appointed kitchen, it all stems and takes you right back to that, beautiful living room. So this kitchen, a couple things I want to highlight with it, things that I love seeing, is this beautiful quartz countertop. This quartz actually has some movement in it, which you don't always find. And it's something like that where it's has a little bit of movement, but it's nothing overbearing. It's a very simple design that I love because it allows other aspects of the house to take over and really accentuate the space. So you do have that very simple, elegant quartz countertop. We do have our full wood cabinets, which they also have the soft close. So not only the drawers, but also the doors. Again, you know, it's one of those things, if you ever had soft close cabinets, once you've had them, it's hard to go away from them. Another thing I want to highlight too is this large Kohler sink. You know, Kohler is pretty much one of the brands of choice for most builders here in the area because Kohler has really great warranties, not just for the builder, but you as the homeowner after you buy the house. And then another thing I want to highlight too is the appliances. So the appliances on this one, they are what I would call custom. They are definitely very high-end appliances. They're not going to be your standard appliances with the builder. But this is where I want to really take us back to these countertops. So remember how I mentioned these countertops? It's a little more of a simple design to allow other things to really take over the space. Well, one of the things that takes over the space that really epitomizes the space are these appliances. So you have your full cafe appliances, you know, they all have that darker, you know, matte stainless steel look with the gold hardware. And for this one, the dishwasher, you actually have two spaces with it. So you have the space down below as well as the one up top, which you don't find very often. To go with your stove oven combo, which is a gas stovetop. Here in Nocatee, it is a gas community, and so therefore every house here in Nocatee is always going to be pre-plumbed for gas. You're going to have typically 4 to 5 gas lines, maybe more, maybe less, but 4 to 5 is typical. And what I love about what ICI did with this is, again, go with those high-end appliances with the gold. It just really just ties everything together and really gives you that high-end feel that, again, you would want at this price. Another thing too, you don't find these very often, but to have the pot filler here, if you do a lot of cooking, you probably know just how nice it is to have this pot filler. Ultimately, to have hot water right there on tap, so you don't have to, bring your pot back and forth from the sink. It's huge, and it's one of those that is always gonna be an upgrade with the builder. But one of those things that if you want it at all, you want to do at the time of the build rather than after the fact when it's a little more of a mess. We do have our microwave, which is a built-in down below. And the reason it's down below is because, again, this is a gas community, and you do have with the gas stove, you do have a really nice ventilation above the gas stove as well. And then lastly, fairly standard cafe fridge, but again, they continue the same look with the gold hardware, which just really, honestly, it really goes very well with the cabinets. They don't compete with each other at all. They really blend together very well, but still gives you that separation you want to have to really just make it a focal point of the space. And then lastly, I want to show you the dining room with this area. So the dining room here, it's a massive dining room. With the 12-foot ceilings, it's going to feel bigger as it is, but this dining room is seated for 6, but you could easily do 8, maybe even 10 with the right table. For guests. So it's a great space to be able to entertain and have guests over. If you want to host Christmas parties or you want to host Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving at the house, it's one of those things that if you have family that are not in the area, they're from up north and they're tired of the snow, they're tired of the cold, have them come on down here. There's plenty of space to entertain, and there's plenty of space to be able to have them, be able to hang out in the dining room as well for that to be able to occur. And then another thing too, I just want to go over is something that you probably want to know is what's the closet or pantry space like for this house? And that's what I want to just show real quick. So ICI, they did a very nice built-in for the pantry. A lot of pull-outs for your stuff in here as well. Full wood custom closets or custom pantry. And so overall, I would say it's a pretty good sized space. One of those things that you could always use more. You can never have too much space here in Florida, but overall they did do a good job of really just maximizing the potential of the space. And off of our pantry is our laundry room. So as you can tell, here in the laundry room, they did use the same cabinetry and hardware as they did in the kitchen, but they actually did a little different countertops. So these are actually gonna be more of your granite countertops. And a very nice look. Kind of shows you what you can do with these cabinets with different countertop colors and finishes. So this can be your granite countertop with more grays and browns in it, which really tie in nicely with your brown cabinets. But as you saw in the kitchen, you can also do more of the white with a little bit less movement with a quartz. So kind of nice to be able to do a little bit of both. You do have your washer dryer combo here as well. You will have the ability to do a gas dryer or a electric dryer. That is something that, even though I would say 99% of people here in Nocatee use a gas stove and gas oven, I would probably say 99% of the people also probably use an electric dryer despite having gas as an ability to use for the dryer. So just kind of one of those things, it's kind of cool, kind of interesting when you look at it that way. We also have a very sleek polygon, design tile floor in here. So this could be our first tile that's in the house, separate from all of our wood. And again, it ties in very nicely with the rest of the space. And last thing I forgot to point out is you do have your sink in here. So to be able to have a space for the sink is nice because not every builder, not every floor plan gives you that ability to have that, that laundry sink. So just something that just really ties the space in all the way. All right, and so with that wrapping up the laundry, the next thing I want to really show is the primary ensuite and the primary bedroom. It's one of those things that you always want to know when you're buying a house, what each space is going to feel like, what each space is going to look like. And I can tell you with this, you're going to love the primary bedroom, bathroom set that they have here, just because it's very simple in some regards, but it also gives you all you really need. And also don't forget the upstairs be some pretty cool things that I want to show off as well. So don't forget about that as we're going through this. But here in the primary, as you can tell when we first come in, very large space, very high ceilings. One thing they did here, just like actually they didn't do it in the living room, but one thing they did here is, even though we had 12-foot ceilings, they decided let's make these 13-foot ceilings. And so they actually did a tray ceiling in here. If you know me and you've seen other videos on this channel, you probably know just how much I love tray ceilings. And this tray ceiling, it's a very nice focal point of the space. Really, really just says, hey, this is the primary. This is where, my space is. I'm the owner of this house. And the things with that tray ceiling is you have the tray, you have the wood inlay with the tray, and you even have the wood beams with the tray, as well as you still have plenty of light with all the recessed lighting they have up there. Now, one thing builders like to do is they like to always do the light fixtures up top, but you could obviously always do a ceiling fan as well. But with this space, as you can probably tell in the video, this is a king size bed with an end table on both sides, and you can't see it in the video right this second, but it also has a dresser as well, and 2 seats over here for a little book nook. And it doesn't feel tight in here. Part of that is because of all the natural light they have here with all the extra windows, part of which is because of the 12-foot ceilings. You do get the transom windows up top, but you also, just have it as a large space because of that tray ceiling. They did also continue that wood floor in here as well. And so ultimately it's light, it's bright, it's inviting. It's really where if you've had a long day and you just want to be able to relax, that is the place you would want to relax in if you want to get away from everyone and have your own space. Then, as you come into the primary ensuite, we do have the his and hers closets, which they also did the custom cabinetry in here as well to really finalize the space, really show you what you can do with it. And ultimately, it's a great size space, and it's nice to have the separation. Because some people like to have, the his and hers, some people like to share the closet space, but in this case, having it separated is nice. We always make the joke, his and hers, probably more like hers and hers closets. Sometimes his and his closets, depending on, who has more clothes and stuff like that. But also what I love about it is it's not in the bathroom. It's on the way to the bathroom, it's not in the bathroom. Because some floor plans have the closet in the bathroom, which some people like, some people don't, to each their own. But just something to kind of point out as we're going through this. And then when we come into the primary bathroom, first thing you're gonna notice, we have a very nice, simple tile floor, offset tile floor. really thin white grout lines with it. And with it too, we also have a double vanity here. So a couple things with this double vanity, they did do almost what looks similar, but different countertops in the kitchen. So you do have your white countertops. They went with a little bit of a darker color cabinet, still soft close, still full wood. And they also give you the same hardware as what you had in the kitchen. And ultimately just a really good size space. And one thing you could do too here, some people like to have more space for different items, or they like to have a focal point, is you could do additional cabinetry up the middle here if you so desired it or needed it. And the last part with this is the primary shower. So this is gonna be a walk-in shower. They give you that bottom step there to keep all the water in the shower so it doesn't come out. And a couple of things I just want to highlight with it that I love to see with these showers is, one, we have our fixtures when you first come in to be able to turn the shower on so you're not getting wet. But also number two is you have the rain head. So I love having the rain head as long as it's not your only shower head in the shower, just because it's a cool feature, something that you don't see very often. And one of those things that if you're gonna do, you do it with the builder rather than after the fact. So you have your double head there. You also have a nice little seat here if you needed to use it to sit down. You could also use it for your soaps and your shampoos. But nice to have that there. And obviously all the water comes down here and empties out down there below. And you still do get natural light with the transom windows in here as well. Or not necessarily transom, but just your solid windows in here. So that's really gonna wrap up though the primary. So now let's go ahead and go upstairs and check out everything that the second floor has to offer. All right, so now we're upstairs, which honestly for me, I really like how they did this upstairs area. You're gonna see all of it in a second, but we did show you what it looked like from down below, but here's what it looks like from up here. So up here, they actually gave you a tray ceiling in the foyer with this nice oversized chandelier just to make it more of a focal point. You have this nice wood inlay wall as well as you come up the, I wouldn't call it a spiral staircase. It's kind of like a square staircase, but same general, thinking there. And again, I do love the fact that they did the wrought iron all the way around, because normally with these banisters, they'll normally just be a knee wall with drywall. But when you do it open like this, it's not always the most to do with the builder, so it's always well worth doing, because if you want to do it afterwards, it can get so pricey. So as far as to limit the additional work required after the fact, that's one of those that we always say is worth doing with the builder rather than without the builder after the fact. So as we continue to move through the house, up here we do have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms with 1 Jack and Jill. Now here in Nocatee, because it's such a family-friendly neighborhood and location with all the schools, you do find a lot of times that the builders like to do these Jack and Jill bathrooms to split up to the bedrooms. It is one of those things that some builders like ICI will actually give you an option to not do the the Jack and Jill if you don't want it, but that's going to normally be their standard for a lot of their floor plans. Here in this bedroom, we do have a walk-in closet. And that's something that's gonna be a continuing theme with all of these bedrooms, is they all have nice, really well-sized walk-in closets to be able to, again, store, clothes, additional maybe some furniture pieces, different things like that. And then we have our Jack and Jill. So the Jack and Jill is separated by these pocket doors. So you can kind of get some separation there from the bedroom to the bathroom. You do get nice quartz countertops with the wood cabinets that match the primary. We do get a really nice looking, almost like a fish scale kind of, tile choice for the shower enclosure. We do also have vinyl flooring in here, or actually this is gonna be your tile flooring. They always look kind of similar, along with our second vanity for the second bedroom. So this is our second bedroom. It is the smallest of the 3 bedrooms up here, as highlighted by the more twin or single bed here. But with this bedroom, they still do give you an additional closet space here as well. So you do still get, with both bedrooms, those walk-in closets. And this one does also provide you plenty of natural light with all the windows it has as well. Then that's gonna bring us to the back of the second story. So the back up here, we have our game room with the wood inlay tray ceiling. One of those things that's always suggested to do, because the wood inlay just really finishes off the look, but also the tray makes the space feel bigger. And you have your third bedroom back here, which is almost like a mother-in-law suite that you could make it, with having its own bathroom with walk-in shower, as well as its own bedroom back here as well. And this bedroom is a very good sized bedroom. This is a queen size bed, has end tables throughout with the dresser, and it doesn't feel tight. You know, it feels very, very, easy to walk around, very much still has plenty more room to be able to do more things with it if you need to put a desk in here or whatnot, if you did have like a teenage, aged child in here. So it definitely still gives you plenty of space to do more things if needed. And this one also has a walk-in closet as well to finish it off. So as mentioned, 3 really nice, good size walk-in closets up here to go with your his and hers walk-in closets downstairs. And then for the finale up here, what you've all been waiting for, what I've been, wanting to show off, is this back balcony. Now you may ask yourself, Justin, why do you want to show this back balcony off? Well, one, we just don't get, these back balconies too often here with homes in Nocatee. You may get a front balcony, but honestly, how often do you want to use the front balcony, when obviously it doesn't give you as much privacy? So this back balcony, it's a very good size. You have plenty of room for activities, as they say. And ultimately, not only is it a good size, and it's something that you don't find very often, but with this backyard, it gives you a beautiful view of it. So ultimately, you have the preserve, you have the pool, all of that just makes it very serene, just very much relaxing to be able to hang out at. And this back balcony just gives you a full panoramic view of that as well. So that's why I love it. That's why I think it's just really cool that the builder did it here. Because again, here in Nocatee, you don't have it as often as you would think. And now we are gonna go check out that beautiful pool that we just talked about. All right, so now we're gonna head outside to check out this beautiful backyard with the amazing pool. But one last thing I wanna highlight too out here is ultimately having all this natural light's great, but to have these doors, to be able to go all the way over with it, to allow all of that natural light in, or to be able to, entertain is amazing, because you may not want to open these all the time, but being able to do it is a huge bonus that you don't always have with some of these houses. So having it all the way across, I love that. Now, as far as for this back area, we do have sections that are gonna be covered, which is gonna be all the section right up here. So what I mean by covered is we do have it under roof. And with it being under roof, you have that ability, you can always screen it in. You have that ability to, not have to worry about the rain getting in the way of things. So just one of those things that's nice to have. And this was an upgrade to have this extension, but definitely well worth doing in my opinion. Over here, we do have our outdoor, summer kitchen. So the summer kitchen out here, they do have it plumbed for a sink. You also have some storage down below with the sink. You also have your mini fridge. And a couple of things that I will point out with it too is we do have our Coyote stove or grill. Now with the Coyote grill, typically we'll have the ability to either be gas or to be propane. So it's really your call, up to you on how you do it, but they normally will give you a stub out for the gas line so you can automatically go in with it. We have additional storage down here as well, so plenty of storage with the summer kitchen. And my favorite, something that we see a lot more nowadays than we used to, and it's something that's been very popular here in Nocatee, is the pizza oven. So the pizza oven is something that is a cool concept to be able to have. Now how much you use it, it depends on how much you like to make pizzas, stuff like that. But I know for me, I'd probably be using it quite a bit. And again, they finished it off with some nice granite countertops and a serving area here that can double as a bar area just to really kind of complete the space. Now, another thing I always hear sometimes with Nocatee is, well, can I fence in my yard? And a lot of times the answer, as you can see here, is yes, but with the kind of fencing you can use is where it differs. For most of Nocatee, and in this case, Reflections here in Nocatee, they do require your open metal fence. So what ICI did here, and something you could always do, is they did a wall here that's not technically a fence, but it gives you a little bit of separation from your neighbor, a little bit more privacy. And they did it just for a little bit of the area, just to be able to kind of show it off, to people on what you could do. And then lastly, we have our pool. So the pool over here, really great size. This is built by Tier 1 Pools located here in St. Johns County. And Tier 1 Pools, they do an amazing job with their pools here, whether they're working with ICI or any other builders or any other homeowners. And ultimately, it just really is a very simple pool the way it's designed, but really gives you all you need. So they also finish it off with a nice darker pebble finish. So it gives you the kind of that more modern look that you're starting to see more often here. They even give you a couple spots on the sides to be able to step over into your hot tub, which also doubles as a little bit of a waterfall feature. So honestly, really kind of a cool concept the way they did that. And off the back behind the pool, you actually have another entertaining space. So if you had guests over, if it's a colder day out and you wanted to use a fire pit, they do have this as a gas fire pit, but it also doubles as a fire feature. So if you want to have this going off, because you have people coming over one night to be able to kind of show off the pool, again, especially from that back balcony, definitely something that is really cool to see, really cool to have at your have available to you to be able to use. And this flooring, just to mention it, is your Trex flooring. So with it being Trex, it ultimately does not get hot, it does not splinter, does not get too slick. So it really is a nice aspect to have to finish off the space. So I mean, all in all, this floor plan, honestly, there's a lot to like. There's a lot you can do with it. There's things that you could change with it as well. So I mean, ultimately, it's just one of those things that if you want to know more about it, you can always feel free to reach out to me. That's something I love to be able to help with, answering questions, figuring out, is Nocatee the place? Is Reflections the place for you and your family? Is there a different place that makes more sense? I love to help, or a different builder. I love to help kind of go through all that. And I will go over some things as well with Nocatee, so make sure you stay till the end of this video, because I will be mentioning just why people want to live the Noc life, why people want to live here in Nocatee, so you're not going to miss that as well. And then just a couple housekeeping items before I let you guys go at this beautiful home. ICI right now is offering $30,000 in incentives. If you go under contract with them at the recording of this video, keep in mind that it's always up to change, and they will change. But they're also offering $20,000 off their lots. So roughly giving you a $50,000 value for a home right now here in the Reflections. So again, always have to change, but that's where they're at right this second. So if you want to know more, or if you want to know what the current incentives are, obviously reach out to me. I love to connect, love to figure out, how I can help you and your family with your move here to Nocatee. And also, don't forget, if you've stayed this long, to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And now let's go and check out just why people love Nocatee. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to dive into what does it really mean to live in Nocatee. Now you've seen what Nocatee has to offer as far as the different kind of houses, and in this case, an ICI built, custom house. But ultimately, I just want to dive into, again, what does it mean to live that Noc life? And what I mean by that Noc life is, or the Nocatee lifestyle is, there's a lot that comes with it from a community standpoint. You're not just buying a house, you're buying a community. In this case, you're buying a community in an area that is highly desirable and like the key area that people are moving to here in Jacksonville. They're moving to Nocatee, but also people who are coming from outside the city or even outside the state. Nocatee is one of those premier locations that people are looking to be in. Part of that's for the schools, part of that's for the lifestyle. And so ultimately, I just want to start diving into those things now. So we are actually, looking at Nocatee, and one of the things we want to start off with is, like I said, the lifestyle. So what does the lifestyle mean? Well, with living in Nocatee, you get access to many different community parks, You also get access to the big splash park that they have. This splash park is really one of those things that is becoming a big attraction for people to move to the area. It's kind of been the case from the very beginning, but this splash water park or spray park, it's one of those things that for the kids, you're not going to find much like it here in the area because ultimately we have that ability to we're only about 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops from the beach from most locations in Northeast Florida, probably about 30 or so for Nocatee. But to have the splash park to be able to go to for for your kids to have fun with their friends, it's a big benefit that you get, as you can see here, that you don't always get with all communities. In this splash park, I mean, it's a pretty good sized splash park. It's not going to be like a major water park by any means, but for a master plan community, you're not going to find much better than this. They have multiple pools, as you can see here. They have a lazy river. They have more kid pools, more adult pools. They also have zip lines with it. So with this, as you can see, there actually is a zip line that they have that goes through the water park. So to be honest, you're not going to find that very often either. So that's just one of the first things is you do get access to all these pools, all these parks, because there's a lot of different communities within Nocatee. Obviously, the one we looked at was the Reflections, but with each community, you do have different parks and pools that you get access to with it. Like I said, Splash Park, you have the Spray Park as well, which is for more of the younger kids. It has more of the fun, less pool kind of situation, more just attraction with different things that have available there. They have obviously people who do work there, as you can see in the background. We do have beer on tap as well here in Nocatee. So a lot of things to not just for the kids, but also for the adults to be able to enjoy. And then with the lifestyle too, there's a lot of fitness and outdoor activities you can do here. So starting off, we do have different trails for electric vehicles. These trails, as you can see here, they run throughout the community, and there's multiple trails you can choose from. So ultimately, no matter which part of the community you're in this case, Seabrook Village over here, Reflections, it does give you trails you can take with your vehicle, whether if it's a golf cart, or just electric vehicle. So you do have a lot of different routes you can go with that. And the beautiful thing about it is that any of the commercial, whether if it's restaurants or shops or the grocery store, they have designated parking just for those vehicles. So it's one of those things, you really can't ask for anything better. Not always be able to use an electric vehicle rather than your own, car or truck, but also to have parking for it as well. It's just one of those extra details that the park group who developed Nocatee really wanted to, make an emphasis on. Then from there, they do have a fitness club. The fitness club is actually going to be, more a part of the Welcome Center area. It's going to, give you that full gym ability. So you do have that ability to work out. One of those things that not every neighborhood's going to give you that, but with this master plan community, you do get a fitness club. You also get fitness trail paths, which are the same paths as you'll notice for the golf carts, electric vehicles, but they do run throughout the whole community. So when it comes to if you like to jog, if you like to walk, hike, you have a lot of different trails. You may not have a lot of elevation with the hikes, but you have a lot of different trails that you can walk here to stay active because this is a very active community. We also have the greenery trails, which, as you can see here, they do go throughout the community. These trails are still going to be electric vehicle or golf cart, give you the ability to do those as well. But again, with over 5,000 acres of connecting parks, as you can see there's plenty of area, plenty of nature to be able to enjoy here in Nocatee. And then we have the Nocatee Landing, which is an area here in Nocatee as well that gives you a little bit of area to be able to do a kayak launch, stuff like that. The Nocatee Preserve. This area is, again, it's an area where you can hike, you can camp, you have a lot of different things you can do there. So with this preserve, it gives you that ability to be able to stay out of nature, but still not be too far away per se from, the common comforts as well. And then they do have a Nocatee Swim Club. Because of the fact they have all these pools, they do have a swim club as well, separate from those. So if you have young kids that like to swim or you want to get them into swimming, that is something that is very popular here, is the swim club. And then you do have Settlers Pond, because obviously you need an area for the dogs, as well, with little dog parks. That's one thing too, is there's a lot of dog parks in Nocatee. It's not just family friendly, it's also dog friendly, pet friendly. So it's one of those things that ultimately when this area was developed, Nocatee, a big emphasis wasn't just on, hey, let's build a neighborhood or a community like all the others. No, the emphasis was, let's build one that's different than anything we've ever seen in the area before. And so with that, there's a lot of pride and detail with what you see throughout Nocatee, and that actually, falls further into the ownership, because you see a lot of the, private ownership in Nocatee as well, which again, I think stems from the pride that the developer and the builders had in making Nocatee what it is. Now, Nocatee also is going to put us, and I'll show a map in a little bit, so definitely stay tuned for that. But Nocatee, like I mentioned, it's going to keep us about 30 minutes or so from the beaches. We're also going to be about 30 minutes or so from downtown St. Augustine. And a couple of things you can do, not necessarily in Nocatee, but in the area. There's multiple golf courses nearby in Ponte Vedra. You have multiple areas for beach access. If you're thinking about visiting the area, I would highly suggest checking out the Ponte Vedra Inn and Club. As you can see with the Ponte Vedra Inn and Club, it has a lot of attraction as far as things you can do, and you have that ability to do a short-term rental or even a little bit longer-term rental. And the beautiful thing about it is it's right there on the ocean, and it's in Ponte Vedra Beach, which is going to put you about 20 minutes or so from Nocatee. So definitely something that it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you don't know where to stay if you're coming to visit the area. A couple other things too in Jacksonville you can do. There's plenty of events, in Jacksonville. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars, which the stadium's probably about 45 minutes or so, maybe depending on traffic, an hour from Nocatee. The Jags, for people who are from here like myself, we are, as they say, Duval till we die. We love our team, and we love, supporting our team, no matter if they're doing good or normally not so good. So ultimately, though, there's plenty of different things you can do downtown. There's also a lot of different places you can eat, downtown Jacksonville, San Marco, the St. John Town Center. These are all locations that are going to put you anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour from Nocatee. Another key thing too, we do have a great theater, downtown, the Florida Theater. We also have Alhambra Theater, which is a little bit more low key, which is a great place to go. We also have the Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, a minor league affiliate of the Marlins, but ultimately still a fun time to go, whether if it's just any day of the week or Thursdays for Thursday. And we do have plenty of museums, plenty of libraries, different things like that to be able to go check out. And one of the things I do love too is the Jacksonville Zoo, which is a little over an hour from Nocatee, but well worth the trip. So definitely something that I would highly suggest to look into, if you're looking in the area, figuring out what all attracts you to the area. That might be one of the items. So that's the lifestyle. So the lifestyle, it's one of those things that you never run out of things to do in the area. I always tell people, Northeast Florida, especially Jacksonville, which I like to always kind of consider Nocatee somewhat part of Jacksonville, it's the largest city land-wise in the continental United States. And so because of that, there's a lot of different areas that you can explore in Jacksonville, not just in Nocatee, but in other areas as well, to be able to have stuff to do, on the weekends or, no matter what it may be. But then also what I love about the area isn't just the lifestyle in the current area, but also what you can experience nearby. So again, we're only 30 minutes away from St. Augustine. We're a couple hours from Savannah, a couple hours from Orlando, about 5 to 6 hours from Atlanta. So whether if you want to make a day trip somewhere or a weekend trip somewhere, you don't feel like you're having to drive super long or travel super long to get to those locations, to be able to have a weekend getaway or make a day trip out of it. Because for instance, St. Augustine, there's plenty of things you can do down there too with the historic area. So you never run out of things to do in the area or around the area. Next up is going to be, though, what I want to discuss is the schools. So the schools are very important. As I mentioned previously, these schools here in Nocatee, they're mainly going to be public school. And sometimes, depending on where you live watching this video, you may ask yourself, you may want to ask me, which feel free if you want to give me a call or text, or an email. Would love to help answer any questions you may have. But one thing you may be asking is, how are the public schools here? Because in some parts of the country, some cities, some states, even parts of Florida, a lot of people tend to gravitate towards the private school route rather than public school route because of different variables. But in Nocatee, what you find more so, more often than not, is people have no issues with public schools because the public schools are just that great. We have multiple schools to choose from at each level, sometimes depending on where you're located at in Nocatee. And ultimately, no matter which school you're going to, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Because starting off, for elementary schools, we have 4 with the 5th coming. So we have Valley Ridge Academy, Palm Valley Academy, Pine Island Academy. There's a new K-8 school coming, which is actually going to be just a short couple-minute drive from the Reflections. It's currently being built now. It's exciting to see the progress, and it's exciting to see it once it finishes. But ultimately, we have multiple schools to choose from. They're all going to be K-8s. Other than if you're in Duval County, which I will show you as well. When we get there, where Duval County line to St. Johns County line separates Nocatee. But in Duval County, it will be Bartram Springs Elementary, which is still another really great school. That's only 7 miles away from Nocatee, which seems far, but honestly, it's really not too bad. If you're from the area, 7 miles is 10 minutes or less, unless you have some traffic. So for the schools, I like to always bring up greatschools.org. Great Schools always paints a good enough picture to give you a base level knowledge of what to expect with different schools at different age levels. By no means is it the end all be all, but Great Schools gives you a good starting point to be able to look into to figure out, what area you need to be in to have the school you want. So the first school, as mentioned, was Valley Ridge Academy. So Valley Ridge Academy is rated from Great Schools an 8 out of 10. Valley Ridge is going to be more your northern portion of Nocatee, and with Valley Ridge Academy, it is one that has been around for a while. Not the oldest elementary school for Nocatee, but not the newest either, which we'll talk about that as well in a little bit. As you can see, they're in the 79th percentile in Florida for student progress rating. They're in the 92nd percentile for test score rating, 63rd for equity rating. All in all, there's a lot of pass rates for a lot of these subjects. Very high test scores, and teachers in these schools are all very much hands-on to ensure that the students have as much help as they need to be able to get through what they need to learn. So ultimately, it's one of those things, as you can see here, it even dives into demographics, different things like that. But ultimately, Valley Ridge being 8 out of 10 just shows just how good the schools are there, because honestly, 8 out of 10 is actually the lowest we're going to see for the elementary schools. The next one we're going to look at is Palm Valley Academy. Now, Palm Valley Academy, starting right off the bat, it's going to be a 10 out of 10. So Palm Valley Academy is going to be more eastern Nocatee. It is going to be one that not as many areas Nocatee is going to have access to because it's not one of the main 2. But as you can see here, for the areas that are in Palm Valley, you have a great school here. 10 out of 10, get a great school. So 10 out of 10, 94th percentile in the student progress, 94th in test scores, 86 in equity rating. It's one of those things, 94% pass rate on a subject like algebra, which for elementary school is never a bad thing, but very high test scores across the board. So again, just kind of paints the picture of just how good of a school it really is. And it by far was the best of the 3 in the ratings department. And then last, we have Pine Island Academy. So Pine Island Academy is going to be more your southern Nocatee section, and for right now, for Seabrook, which is where the Reflections is, that's going to be the school that is zoned for Pine Island until the new one gets built. And this one, as you can see, it's a 9 out of 10. It's 85th percentile for student progress, 89th for test scores, and 99th for equity rating. So very high marks for all three of these. When your worst of the three is an 8 out of 10 for St. John's, again, that just does go to show you just how much pride the teachers have at these schools and how much pride the students have to do well at these schools. And then we get to our Duval County school rating. So one thing to keep in mind is when we start to separate Duval and St. John's, Duval County does fall into some different tendencies. We do have very high marks for our elementary schools here, but not necessarily to the degree that we're going to find or see in St. John's County. So for Bartram Springs, we have a 7 out of 10 for the summary. For the overall rating, the percentiles are still really good. So we're at 8 out of 10, 71st percentile in student progress, 75th in test scores. Equity rating at 56%, it's a little bit on the lower side. But Bartram Springs Elementary is still a school that is one of the better or top elementary schools in the area for Duval County. And so you can't go wrong even with Bartram Springs. It's just going to be a tad below what we see with the three elementary schools in St. John's County. Then from there, we have our middle schools. So for the middle schools, the only real difference we're going to see is for the Duval County Middle School, because in St. John's County, all three of the elementary schools are K through 8, which means that the kids are there from kindergarten through 8th grade. So they're in one location for all 9 years. In Duval County, what you tend to see is a lot of the schools you're going to have elementary, which is going to be K through 5, middle, which is 6 through 8, with high school being 9 through 12. The difference with St. John's is the elementary to middle portion. High school is still going to be 9 through 12 for either county. So for Twin Lakes Academy, you're going to see, obviously, there is a stark difference. This is where in Duval County, the middle schools tend to start to see a bit of a drop off. So we did a 3 out of 10 for Duval County for Twin Lakes. Student progress could be better. Test scores are okay, and equity rating again could be better. So what you do see a lot of times is for the neighborhoods that are in Duval County in Nocatee, a lot of times that will be the neighborhoods where you may see the parents choosing private school over public school compared to what we see in St. John's County. And then lastly, we have our two high schools. So our two high schools are going to be Allen D. Neese High School, which is going to be for St. John's County. We'll come back to that. So Neese High School is a 10 out of 10 grade school rating. This is going to be your one high school for all of St. John's. You do have a high school, not St. John's, but in Nocatee. You do have a high school near Nocatee called Ponte Vedra High School, but that's actually going to be more for Ponte Vedra Beach, which is over the river, but the high school is located near Nocatee. So for all of Nocatee, though, it's going to be Neese High School, which, if anyone watching this video is a big football fan, especially college football, Neese High School is well known for having Tim Tebow have gone there. Tim Tebow eventually went off into college to play at the University of Florida, won plenty of awards, and made it to the NFL for a couple years. He still calls Jacksonville his home and actually lives in a golf course community in Duval County. But Neese High School has been around for a while, has a lot of high marks, as you can see here. Student progress is really good, test score is really good, college readiness is one of the best you're going to find, which is why people tend to still gravitate towards the public schools here, including the equity rating being on top of the top. You could not ask for anything better. And so ultimately, with St. John's County, this is kind of why you see it most of the time. People will gravitate towards public school rather than paying the extra money for private school. They will instead use that savings for their houses in St. John's County for those schools. And then as far as for the school in Duval County, we have Atlantic Coast High School. Atlantic Coast High School is a public school as well. It's been around for roughly 10 years now, going on 11. And Atlantic Coast High School does rate as a 7 out of 10. which is still one of the better public schools for Duval County. So you really can't go wrong there if you're living in Duval County. Obviously 48th percentile for student progress, 71st percentile for test scores, 72 percentile for college readiness. And they do have some really good college programs there with their advanced placement programs to be able to provide students with additional college credits before they go into college, as well as even having some dual enrollment options for kids while they're going there, which is still something that Nice High School has as well, so it's not just for Atlantic Coast. But with Atlantic Coast, you do see a bit of a drop off there. We go from 10 out of 10 to 7 out of 10. And so that's where you will sometimes see parents electing to have their kids go to private school if they're in the Duval County section of Nocatee. Finally, let's head to the map to check out Nocatee in its entirety. So this is a map of Nocatee. So Nocatee is a very large area, as you can see here. The fact that it doesn't even all fit on the screen. And the neighborhoods in Nocatee that we're going to start off with is we're going to discuss some of these newer neighborhoods, and then we're going to actually then pop up and show all the neighborhoods in Nocatee. So for today, we were in the Reflections at Seabrook, which, as mentioned, is the last community in Nocatee being built. As I may have mentioned earlier too, the Reflections, the reason it got the name the Reflections is because it's a reflection for the developer and the builders and owners to be able to look back and say, wow, we are finally finished, because Nocatee's been worked on now for about 20 years. And it's one of those things that to see that completion occur, to see all these homes built is huge. And just again shows just the amount of pride that the developer, the builders, the owners have in the neighborhood to get to this point. And as you can tell too here, there's a lot of nature, a lot of natural preserve left. So it's not all just houses. Some parts of the country, all you see is houses. With here, there is still a lot of nature, a lot of green elements that the developer wanted to keep here to keep it natural. So for the neighbors that they're still finishing up, you have Del Webb Nocatee, you have Crossings all the way at the bottom, you have Coral Ridge, Palm Crest, Seabrook Village, and Reflections, which are all part of Seabrook. Then we have a couple West End townhouses and villas that are finishing up, and we have Woodland Park. So those are the neighborhoods that are still being built currently. Now, when we start to include all the ones that have sold out, as you can see here, we have quite a few neighborhoods to choose from. This section up here to the north is the 20-mile section of Nocatee. So that's going to be our River Landing all the way over to 20 Mile Village. We have a couple smaller neighborhoods, Oakwood, Kelly Point, Artisan Lakes, the Palms, Brookwood, Cypress Trails. We have some of our original, our OGs in Nocatee, which are going to be Greenleaf Village, Greenleaf Lakes, Austin Park, Daniel Park here in the middle. Some of the first ones built. A lot of the ones in this section, Lakeside, Daniel Park, Enclave. That is in your town center portion of Nocatee. So ultimately, there's a lot of different neighborhoods that have been built over the years. Coastal Oaks, a beautiful gated Toll Brothers neighborhood, Freedom Landing, Anthem Ridge, Palmetto Cove, Settlers Landing. So that's the thing is, whether if you're looking at new construction and you want to buy new, or if you'd rather have a pre-existing home, allow the previous owner to get through all the bumps and bruises that sometimes may occur in the first year or two, there's options. There's a lot of options to choose from to be able to pick and choose what makes the most sense for you and your family. So next up, we're going to remove all the neighborhoods and let's check out what's there to do for shopping. So we do have our marketplace over here, as well as our town center offices. This is going to be where all of our commercial is. With the commercial, we have Publix, we have a restaurant called Trailer Park, Timothy's Seafood Shack, Jersey Mike's. Plenty of different things that you have access to with these areas. We have a brand new Chop House, Nocatee restaurant, being built. It's almost done. Care Spot, Anijo Cocina Mexicana. And so ultimately there's a lot of different things, another marketplace that's being built. So really the biggest thing I can say is there's still plenty to do in Nocatee, so where you don't have to leave the area to go shopping, buy what you need, stuff like that. And then next up, recreation and fitness. As you can see here, this is kind of highlighting what we've already discussed, but there's multiple different parks, spray park, splash water park, kayak launch over here, plenty of things that you can do here in Nocatee to stay active and stay outside. And then we have our schools. So as I mentioned previously, we have Valley Ridge Academy, which is going to be more western and northern Nocatee. Valley Ridge Academy, like I mentioned, it's a really nice school. We also have Palm Valley Academy, which is going to be more eastern, northern Nocatee. So those are going to be the two that service more the northern portion of Nocatee. And then to the south, we have here Pine Island Academy all the way at the bottom. And this one is the newest of the three. And ultimately, as you see here, really good sized spaces. So plenty of room to be able to take care of all the kids between the ages of, or not ages, but grades of kindergarten and 8th grade. And then lastly, we have Nease High School. Now, Nease High School, as I mentioned, you have football. It's a big piece of the area here. Florida is very heavy into football. Lacrosse is starting to get there too. Obviously, baseball, basketball, soccer. A lot of different sports. So if you have kids that are wanting to get into sports, plenty of different options there. Healthcare, as you can see here, we do have a good bit of healthcare that is around that Nocatee Town Center. Plenty of different churches: River Rock, Waypoint, First Baptist, St. John's Paul, Catholic. So plenty of churches, a couple assisted living areas. We have, a handful of apartment complexes. So realistically, you have a lot of different things, there as far as just to know what's kind of going on. Now here we're going to actually see where that separation is for the Duval County line. So for Duval County, that is going to be any neighborhoods in Cypress Trails, the Palms, Timberland Ridge, Artisan Lakes, Brookwood. All these neighborhoods are going to make up the Duval County neighborhoods in Nocatee. And if you'd like to know more about, each neighborhood in specific, feel free to reach out to me. Would love to help discuss that and, go through all those different items with you and your family. Then if we go to regional, so for regional, we do have Jacksonville to the north and St. Augustine to the south. And with regional, just to kind of, pop up a couple major regional areas, we have the Durbin Park Pavilion. This is a newer area for shops and restaurants. We have the St. Augustine outlets, just not too far away. To the north, we have St. John's Town Center, which St. John's Town Center is kind of the hub of Jacksonville now. Even though it's not in the middle or center of Jacksonville, it really has become the main attraction for people. Whether if you live in Duval, Nassau, Clay, or St. John's, at some point you're going to be probably going to the St. John's Town Center. You may not like it, depends on the year. Sometimes traffic can be kind of tough during the holidays, but you'll be there eventually. We have the San Marcos Square, where we have a lot of historic buildings, stuff like that. We have the shops of Avondale, which are going to be also very historic areas. This is going to put you over the river in the Riverside Avondale area. Then we have recreation and fitness. So we have the Jacksonville Zoo, as I mentioned, to the north. So Jacksonville Zoo is a private zoo that we have here. It does mean that sometimes, it may not be the cheapest, but the thing about it is you'll never go there and say, well, I spent more than I should have spent for this. It's always one of those things that that you always walk out of there just super impressed with how it's laid out, and obviously super happy about the animals you got to see along the way. We also have some other not minimal, but other water parks, like smaller water parks here in Jacksonville. We have Adventure Landing. As I mentioned, we have the Lodge and Club, which is over there in Ponte Vedra Beach. Great place to stay if you're visiting and want to be on the ocean. We have the Players, which is an area that stays pretty popular, but especially during that 1 week of the year for the Players Championship. And again, the Players Championship is one of those things that you have the ability to go check out. It's well worth checking out because of the fact that it's such a beautiful venue. We do have downtown St. Augustine with the fort. Again, great weekend or day trip, depending on how you want to do it. They have a lot of bed and breakfasts down there, so really a cool place to visit. Even if you're not going to move to the area and you're watching this video, I would still suggest to check out St. Augustine at some point in your life, if you haven't already. So a lot of recreation with that. As you can see here, there's plenty of schools. It kind of highlights some of the ones that are not in Nocatee. We do have Florida School for Deaf and Blind down to the south. We do have a couple military bases around town, so it is one of those things that we are very heavy relocation area for military. We do have a couple of airports as well. So we have a private airport. We call it Jacksonville Executive Airport. Just the north of Nocatee, we do have St. Augustine Airport to the south, and we have Jacksonville International Airport to the north, which is about an hour and 15 or so from Nocatee. So plenty of stuff around there to be able to look at and check out. So that's going to kind of really dive into the Nocatee, portion of this video. The next thing I do want to highlight is really diving into the floor plan we looked at today, which was the Palos Verdes. So as mentioned, the Palos Verdes starts off just at around $900,000. As you can see here, they have multiple different elevations you can choose from. The one we looked at today was the Craftsman Modern, but as you can see here, they have the Farmhouse Modern, they have the Coastal, and really the difference all comes in that front porch. So if you love that front porch, going with the Coastal Modern or the Craftsman Modern or the Farmhouse Modern, those are the ones that are going to give you that beautiful front porch that we saw today. As far as the the floor plan, just to kind of highlight a couple of things, the base floor plan is as you see below. When doing the items that we saw today, they did have the 12-foot high ceiling, they had the tray ceiling in the master, they had the deluxe kitchen, they had the extended cover lanai, the laundry sink. So they had all these items going for it for the one we looked at today. So it just kind of highlights all the upgrades that I mentioned, really kind of puts in perspective of just what all the builder has done to this one. And then the second floor, that beautiful sun deck I mentioned, I love that sun deck. That was an upgrade that they did here. They did the tray ceiling in the game room, and they did the railing instead of the knee wall. So all those things are things that you can do with the builder. You can also do things that the builder doesn't have on here, which is what I love about it as well, and why ultimately ICI is definitely a builder that if you're looking at building is worth considering if you're looking at building in Nocatee. And then lastly, just to highlight the different areas within Nocatee, we do have a lot of different options here. So this is actually giving you a behind the scenes of what we as realtors have access to. And what I want to show you with this is specifically with Nocatee, what to expect if you're looking to buy here. Sometimes you think, especially in today's world, well, I have a lot of options to choose from. And during COVID, that was a valid question to have because in all honesty, things were going very quick. And so there wasn't a ton of inventory. But now, as you can see here, we have 272 active listings here in Nocatee. Obviously, different price points across the board. So they're not all going to be the same. Some are going to be
4 to 600. Some are going to be 6 to 8, 8 to a million, million up to 2, even some 2 to 3 $1 million homes. But that's the thing is, you have a lot of different options here, and none more so than ultimately when we look at different age ranges. So when we look at in the first 5 years of Nocatee being built, or more so 2005 or so, as you can see, we have 6 homes available currently. And this is kind of cool to see how the look at the homes have changed over the years with Nocatee. So for 2005, we actually had homes in the area that weren't actually Nocatee. So believe it or not, these homes, these are homes that are, as I like to call it, Nocatee adjacent, but don't have all the additional fees that you'll find in Nocatee because they are, again, not in the community of Nocatee. And so these homes, as you can see here, they're going to be in the 500s and 600s, and up. We do have this one $2 million house here, which is going to be partially because of the amount of land it has access to. But as you can see, it's not your typical Nocatee looking house because, again, it's more of a one-off. And then from there, when we go to the next, we'll do decades now. When we go to 2005 to 2015, as you can see, we have 53 homes currently available. So ultimately, it just does show that if you're looking for a newer home or if you're looking for an older home, there are a lot of different options at your disposal to be able to, to buy. And as you'll see too, there are sections of Nocatee that have more of that Mediterranean style look, because when Nocatee first got built, it was more Mediterranean style houses. It was a situation where we had a lot of Mediterranean style houses being built during the early 2000s and 2010s, until that trend started to change in the mid to late 2010s and early 2020s, where we're at now. And ultimately, it's kind of cool when you look at this to see how the looks of some of these homes have changed, because it just gives you an idea of how mindsets change, of how personalities change. It used to be a lot of darker colors, as you'll see some of these houses, and now they're starting to go back light again. You're starting to see more quartz used instead of granite. So ultimately, just is kind of cool when you start to see some of that and compare it to what we now see, which is more of that coastal look across the board. So now when we start looking at the newer construction homes, you will see a big difference. So these newer construction homes, it has more of that either farmhouse or coastal look. This is actually going to be in that town center section of Nocatee. A lot of light and bright colors here. And that's where the transition occurs. We started going away from the darker, accents to some of those lighter accents. And we also started to go away from stucco, which you saw more so in those early 2000s, which is still concrete material, but not the best to use in a state like Florida or an area like Northeast Florida, where we're using a lot of wood frame construction, because at the end of the day, if that stucco cracks, it allows for water to get behind and create damage to the wood behind it. So now you're seeing more hardy board siding, which is more this lap board that you're seeing here in the video. And with that lap board, it becomes more protective of the wood behind it, and it doesn't get damaged the way stucco was getting damaged. So as you can see here, a lot of lights and brights. So really a big transition there as far as the look. Still a little bit Mediterranean, but not nearly as much as we saw originally. And so ultimately, as you can see here, this is going to pretty much make up our whole Nocatee area. As I mentioned, we're only from, let's say, the town center, we're only 5 miles to the ocean. From the town center, we're only, or not that town center or so, we're only about 10 miles or so from the Jacksonville town center. From St. Augustine, we're about 15 miles St. Augustine. And even the airport, as I mentioned, we're about 31 miles, bird's flight to the airport. So it really just kind of shows you everything around it and what you can do to have near you. So that is going to kind of wrap up this video. If you had any questions, if you wanted to go over anything further, definitely make sure to reach out to me. I will have my phone number, my email on the screen. I also have the link to my calendar in the description of the video. So if you've been thinking about moving or relocating to Jacksonville, specifically to Nocatee, and you really want to know more about Nocatee as a whole, or what it has to offer for you and your family, whether if it's, again, living in the area or around the area, and what all it means to live the Noc life, don't forget to reach out to me. I would love to speak further. And again, if you've stayed through this end of this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And we will catch you again on our next model home tour of Nocatee, in this case, the Reflections.